What you're about to see is what I believe to be, and I did quite extensive research on this, the first and only time this blaster has ever been featured on YouTube. In fact, many people won't even know it exists, and for good reason. It was apparently unreleased. And yet here it is sitting in my hand right now. But before we talk too much about it, I obviously have to give thanks to the person who sent this off to me. They actually handed it off to a friend, who went to End War, and then handed it off to Barrett at End War, who then dropped it off into my NERF armory. And I cannot thank all of these people enough, but especially the person who sent this off to me. You know who you are, but they did want me to give a shout out to their Facebook page and their YouTube channel, both of which are on the screen right now and will be in the description below. I implore you, if you enjoy this video and you appreciate what they've done, please give them a like, give them a subscribe. I'm sure they can be up to some really, really cool stuff. In fact, I've seen some of their stuff, and it is legitimately awesome. But enough about that. Let's talk about this. The Busbee Ultimate system is an interesting beast. While they did try both before and after this to make a fully customizable set of blasters that could latch together in a variety of configurations to do whatever the heck you want them to, there wasn't a whole lot on offer. In fact, when it comes to the top option, the A option, there was only one blaster, the Busbee Ultimate Snipe. But was that always the case? Well, apparently not, because there is one blaster that was actually shown in promotional artwork that existed, that was apparently never released, that fills that A slot. And that is the BuzzBee Ultimate Clip Blast. Now, what is the Ultimate Clip Blast? Well, it's a BuzzBee blaster that uses a clip, or a magazine. Obviously a magazine. It has a spring-loaded follower and everything in it. And yet, it was apparently never released. You might have seen something that looked suspiciously like this blaster, and that's because there's actually two other variants of this one. However, they are not this blaster. This one is different, even though I'm assuming the internals and the propulsion mechanisms and everything are pretty much identical. But this is a small pistol blaster that uses a top-feeding magazine, which is pretty innovative now that you think about it. I mean, there's not a whole lot of blasters that do this kind of thing. That holds 5 darts, although I managed to get 6 in there with absolutely no trouble whatsoever, so that's a thing. That is meant to connect to the A slot on either your BuzzBee Ultimate Missile Blast, which is a fan-favorite blaster because it has a very big air tank in it, or your BuzzBee Ultimate Berserker, which, yeah, does the same thing, except for it has the big, huge rotating turret of awesome on it. And it's meant to be kind of the sidearm of the group. You have, of course, the bottom blaster, the C option, which is that BuzzBee Ultimate... what the heck is that thing called again? Which is the BuzzBee Ultimate Rapid Blast, which is the only option that's available in that category. So there's quite a legacy for this blaster, and yet, again, it was never released. How do I have my hands on this one? Well, the gentleman that I got this from actually had 2 of them. Apparently, he just happened to find them. As you do, I guess, because, for all intents and purposes, it was labeled as unreleased. Now, this is not the first time this blaster has popped up. In fact, not too long ago, a gentleman found one on eBay for $5 and bought it. They bought a supposedly unreleased blaster for $5 off eBay. That's about as good as you can get at finding luck I think I'll ever see. That being said, I now have my hands on one as well, so that's at least, as far as I've seen pictures-wise, 3 that are confirmed to exist in the wild, which means this could have some very, very limited release, especially overseas, where maybe not so many people are talking about it, or they made a couple of them and sent them to a store and that was it, and they just happened to spread out over time. It's not exactly a blaster that you would look at and think was anything special. In fact, it looks just like any of the other BuzzBee Ultimate blasters, but apparently they are incredibly rare. So rare it was never released, and yet here we are. And what exactly is the thing? Well, as I already alluded to, it is, in fact, a single-shot magazine pistol. There is, of course, a slide right here that you pull back. You can see the magazine indexed right there. You push that back forward, it seals around the dart, you pull the trigger, it's going to fire a dart. And of course, it is meant to fire the original BuzzBee sticky dart, so its performance is about as good as a BuzzBee sticky dart blaster could get, and considering it comes from 2010, when, elite ranges and stuff weren't exactly a thing yet, that's not all too surprising. And yes, this blaster is supposed to connect into your BuzzBee Ultimate system. Man, this would look a lot better if I had the BuzzBee Ultimate Berserker, but I don't think I have one. And now that this blaster is entirely complete, how exactly does it work? Well, same concept. You pull that back, push that forward, it loads a dart, and then on the side here, you can see this little piece right here is actually a trigger. So when I pull that back, it's gonna fire another dart. And that is too cool. It's nice to finally have this thing essentially complete. I mean, this is not a scene that many people get to witness, because really, the only other thing you can put on here is the Ultimate Snipe, and, well, this is not the Ultimate Snipe, and it looks a heck of a lot cooler than the Ultimate Snipe, although, again, debatably, how useful is this thing on this entire blaster? Now, obviously, to reload this thing, you simply remove the clip at the top. It, again, is supposed to be a 5-shot capacity, although I fit 6 in there no problem, and the follower on it is really, really nice. It has gears that lock it into place and everything like that. It's really over-engineered compared to our standard NERF magazines. And then you just load it in the top. Now, mine is unfortunately broken. I don't know if that happened through Barrett's transit, or the transit of it getting to Endwar, or the gentleman found it broken. I'm not entirely sure, but the tab on one side is completely missing, and the tab on the other is essentially broken already. So this thing you have to be pretty delicate with. I could just find a bunch of the original BuzzBee Ultimate clips, and I'm sure they're compatible with this one, but I don't have any of those, so we're going to have to rely on this one right now anyway. However, it is really tempting to want to win this thing in a war, but you have to understand, this is an incredibly rare blaster. This isn't like the Supermax 1500 that Bobololo recently took a jab at. It's rare, and that thing was actually released in some capacity. We only know of about 4 of them that exist right now, or 5 of them. However, this thing, we know of at least 3, and who knows how many of these things are actually out there. I could be wasting my entire time showing this off, because as far as I know, everybody on the other side of the pond has one, and just nobody talks about it because it's a forgettable BuzzBee blaster. But everywhere I looked on the internet says it's incredibly rare, and the one person who found one on eBay and posted about it, everybody said that's incredibly rare. Nobody has come out of the woodwork to say, oh, I have 30 of those in a warehouse, I didn't know they were worth anything. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be people in the comment section who are going to say, hey, I had one of those, or I passed up one on thrifting, and that's all well and good, but unless you actually have a picture of yourself holding one, I'm not exactly going to be able to believe you, I should say, because this thing apparently didn't exist until recently, and then this came about. I found it incredibly humorous that the gentleman reached to me on Facebook and says, hey, have you done a tag back on this yet? And it was a blaster that was unreleased. And who knows, really, who knows what this thing is actually capable of. So, while this is not exactly tagged back, this is just a series I'm going to be starting on rare blasters, because I actually have quite a few now. What exactly is this thing good for? Well, if you had the magazines from a bunch of clip blasts and you wanted to run it as kind of a weird pistol thing, or have a complete functional ultimate system, well, this is a blaster for you. It is a Springer with a breech. I'm sure you can add more spring power to it, but this blaster was never released, so why would you do something like that? Seriously, if you do happen to have one of these things, don't touch it. Put it on a shelf, or send it to somebody or sell it to somebody who can take care of it and put it where it belongs, because this is a legend in and of itself. It's a blaster that we didn't think even existed. It was apparently never released, and here it is in all its glory. And I'm quite humbled to be its current caretaker, and hopefully its caretaker for many years to come. This is quite special to me now. There was actually somebody who had one of these, and I really wanted to get it from them, and when their kid joined the Discord and started talking about wanting to mod it and stuff, I wanted to throw money at them just so I could get it out of that kid's hands, because I did not trust them. They were a kid. They didn't quite understand. After all, it's just a piece of plastic, but for something like this, something that's never hit YouTube, something that's very, very, very rare, I am humbled to be able to immortalize it on my channel and put it where it belongs, up on the rack with things like the crossbow and the manta ray and the Lord knows how many other rare blasters I just got this weekend, and leave it there for all to see and all to witness that the BuzzBee Ultimate Clip Blast did exist at some point in time. and it's pretty darn cool. Can I talk about how cool it is? Because really, it's got a pretty comfortable handle for all of the kind of Busbee blasters. Of course, I have rather small hands, this is well known, but it is really comfortable. The trigger pull is excellent. The slide is exceptionally comfortable. I don't know if it used to have a return on it, but maybe it didn't because it is, of course, a bolt, and my gosh, is that, maybe we have a jam. No, just have a dart that didn't want to come out, I guess. But yeah, you can see, it's a bolt action. We'll just put that back in there. There we go. Push that forward, and we got a dart to come out. That is too cool. Come on. Come on. There we go. Maybe not all that reliable, but again, for a blaster that supposedly didn't exist, I can't fault it all that much. If you know anything more about the BuzzBee Ultimate Clip Blast, let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear about it. Of course, I know people are going to say, oh, I have 3 of those. Unless you send me a picture, I'm just probably going to delete your comment because I'm really, really tired of it. Anyways, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one. And this is about as different as I could possibly get.